Hey guys, it's Ping with Vital MX. Thanks for checking out another episode of Moto 101. Today we're out here at Fox Raceway and we've got a section of rollers that quite honestly spun me out the first time I got to them. It was late in the day, they had gotten really rough, big square holes at the bottom of them, and I was really struggling. I was trying inside, outside. You couldn't jump through them because there was G-outs at the bottom. Trying to manual them was tough, and it took me a while to kind of figure out how to get through these, and it reinforced in me what I should have remembered a long time ago, that something like this, the more speed you carry across them, the smoother they're gonna be. But of course, as with everything, technique's everything. So kind of the way you need to address these, and I think this goes for any kind of roller whoops. These had a bend in them, which makes them a little extra tricky, but the concept's still the same. A lot of guys will try to double through these. Sometimes you can make that work as long as the transitions are all good, but you're still, that means you're going up and down a lot, right? And a lot of things can go wrong. You catch one and swap back, you know, you can get yourself in trouble that way. If you're trying to wheelie these, again, if there's holes at the bottom, you're doing a lot of work, a lot of pulling. The best way is to just skip across the tops of them. I know it sounds easier said than done, but track with me here. So the most important thing in something like this is to come in with enough momentum. So the first thing I had to do was kind of grab an extra gear, carry a little more speed into them. Something like this is when it's really important to be on the balls of your feet. You're on your arches, you lose the ability to control the bike a lot. So you lose the ability to move up and down and give yourself that extra travel, the ability to push down on the pegs efficiently, you know, pushing down on your toes to correct the angle of the bike that it's leaning. You give up so much. So balls of your feet, squeezing in tight with your legs, carrying a little more speed in, and then you want to try to keep the bike as flat as possible. So if you watch as I come in, I accelerate in, set up for a second, let off the throttle, and then back on, and it's a steady, just rap, 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 rap across the tops. That's the way it should look. Just front wheel, back wheel, front wheel, back wheel, front wheel, back wheel. When I get to the next to last one, you might notice I'm kind of pushing into the face a little harder, compressing the suspension and trying to get it to pop so I can actually double over the last one clean and give myself enough time to brake and set up for the turn. Depending on the setup, if it was a straightaway after these, I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have just kept skipping through and stayed on the throttle. But the thing here is commitment. If you come in and say, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then you chop the throttle or tighten up, you're gonna find yourself in trouble. Commit to it, bring in a little more speed, get on the balls of your feet, get in a real neutral position on the bike. So elbows up, butt back, back flat, head kind of over the gas cap or triple clamps, depending on how far back you are, how tall you are. And don't be afraid of just staying neutral on the bike and using the throttle to help you adjust the attitude of it forward and backwards. So again, if you miss one, this can go sideways if you get your front wheel over one and drop into a pocket. So you're much better off hitting it lower than you are just barely catching the top. And again, I've tried this a couple different ways. I even tried to show you here today, manualing it one time, you know, just carrying the front wheel, letting the back wheel track. And you're just using a lot more energy that way. You're having to pull with your arms so much. And again, if they get square edge holes at the bottom or real deep pockets, it just doesn't become practical. One thing I will say about sort of skipping across whoops like this is tighten up. Every time you hit one of these whoops, my whole core, everything has to tighten. You know, and that will in turn keep the bike locked into place. So it's not just your feet and knees squeezing the bike, your whole core tightens. You know, it's gonna be like you're kind of bracing for a little impact every time. If you're just kind of like loose and hitting them and seeing what happens, it's not gonna go well for you. So obviously something like this, start on smaller ones. If there's a set of 4 or 5 that's a little shorter, that's better. Work your way up to bigger stuff. But this is a technique. If you can learn to just sort of stay on the tops and carry your momentum across, it's going to be much faster for one, much safer, much more consistent, and at the end of the day, you're going to save a lot of energy. So I hope you can apply that. If you ride out here at Fox Raceway, you know exactly the set of whoops I'm talking about, but I'm sure there's something like this at a track you're at or in your area. So check it out, see if you can apply it and make yourself a little bit better rider. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.